everyone. Audience, I'd like to welcome you all to our panel today. We're going to really delve into and be talking to experts in the field of esports. We'll try to touch upon a variety of different subjects around the content and what's really happening in the field today. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Eric Bright. I'm Vice President of Merchandising for GameStop. With us today on our panel, we've got Corey Roseman. Corey, who I've known for some time, Vice President of Narcon Gaming. Little known fact about Corey is he founded the Rig Gaming brand, Rig brand of accessories that GameStop still enjoys today. Someone I've known for quite some time, has been a fixture within the industry for a number of years. Mr. Corey Roseman is here. And then we've got King Richard, an influencer who really needs no introduction. His gaming skills in games like Apex Legends and others are renowned all over Twitch, an active participant within esports, King Richard, the influencer. So, gentlemen, welcome to today. Really pleased to have you both here and be speaking with you. Why don't we get started, I think, in the 800-pound gorilla question that everybody wants to know, which is esports is such a big phenomena. Where's the money? How do you make money in esports? Can you take us through a little bit of the economics behind it? I'll throw this out to you at first, Corey.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, in terms of the economics of esports, the quickest thing I'll let everybody know is there's years of research already done on a lot of the ways to make money in esports, and look no further than traditional sports. So when you think about a game like League of Legends or Madden or Street Fighter, look and equivalent those to football, basketball, baseball, things that we're all familiar with. So when you think about it from that lens, what you have is, in terms of economic opportunities, you have players, you have coaches, you have team support, trainers, you have the actual franchise and the teams themselves. You have working for the league. So in other words, in esports, working for a league would be like working for Riot Games or working for Valve in terms of Dota 2, or working for ESL. Much like you have ESPN, you have Twitch. And when you think about broadcasters that people love to see, I think about like Maria Taylor and others. You know, you actually are Shaq and Charles Barkley and those guys on TNT covering the NBA. Much in the same way, you have influencers on Twitch and actually on ESL TV and on other networks that are out there. So when I think about the economic opportunities in esports, the easiest way that I know to explain it to folks, or if you already know and are aware, you need to explain it to your parents or to your teachers, is really to look at traditional sports and form those analogies. And everywhere you see an economic opportunity around the NBA or NFL, there is an equivalent opportunity within esports. And that's like what I like to start it off with, because so many people think it's really a mystery, when in reality, we have it all around us.
Fantastic. Thank you, Corey. Richard, what about yourself?
He touched on it pretty well. You just look at it. You have players, you have coaches, you have staff, you have people who clean the lockers. It's the same exact thing in esports. It's no different from traditional sports that most people know, like, you know, basketball, football, like he said. But I think gaming, it's actually a little bit bigger, because there's so much more to it, because you have game development as well, and a lot of game development is built around esports as well. So I think if you look at it from that aspect of you know, it being very similar to traditional esports, That's the best way to get an idea of what it is. But just think bigger, because it's actually a bigger landscape than the NFL or NBA or whatever it is. Like the gaming industry right now is like the biggest entertainment industry and growing like at like a crazy rate. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean he pretty much hit it right there. It's basically very similar to traditional
Spot
esports.
on.
Yeah. Gaming today is the
No,
largest.
I simply sent a pass.
Gaming today is the largest entertainment industry in the world, surpassing movies, music, all other forms of entertainment. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Has the pandemic affected the gaming industry in esports? What's your opinion there, Richard?
I think it affected game development, but it has expanded esports because so many people are at home now. More people are at home and consuming online entertainment, whether it's not just, gaming, but also like Netflix and stuff like that. That has grown as well. So the fact that everyone's home, it's causing this industry to really explode, giving more eyes to it. So the pandemic has, in my opinion, affected it in a very positive way as far as growth is concerned.
Corey?
Oh, I would agree wholeheartedly. I think the pandemic brought a lot of people that may have been more hesitant to the gaming overall into esports beyond that, and it opened their eyes to it. So once you consumed all your Netflix, once you looked at any other thing, traditional sports was shut down. I think one, a lot of people came to start watching esports because frankly they had nothing else to do. And a portion of those people actually enjoyed it and are sticking around. In addition to that, a lot more people started playing games during the pandemic, and that led to a bigger appreciation of esports because the more games you play, the more you realize the excellence you're witnessing by watching a professional esports tournament.
Yeah, I will tell you from a GameStop perspective, we have seen interesting games rise throughout the pandemic. People are playing games longer and deeper. Content, whether it's Apex or Warzone or, any of these games, especially multiplayer games, they're doing extremely well. As just people are getting deeper into the content, getting more interested, and then they're watching esports to learn how to play their game better. It's been fascinating. It really has. The pandemic has been actually very good, I think, overall for gaming. But to Richard's point, I agree. I think we're seeing it in some of the game delays that it's been tough on a development process because development is such a interactive experience, right? And so it's causing, I think, some overall delays in content that we may be, experiencing, I think, even after the pandemic is over. Let me go a little bit then now into, let's go into the past. Let's go into how did each of you get started in the gaming industry, and then how did it lead to esports? So, Richard, I'll start with you on that.
So I've been gaming all my life, like since I can remember, all the way back. I think the first system that I picked up was a Nintendo, and I was probably too young to even really remember it, but I know it because we have videos of it. But I've been gaming all my life, and I'm 32 years old now. And for me, working in different industries, the construction industry, the computer tech business, I didn't really have a passion with that, but gaming has always been my passion. So I kind of like dove deep into gaming and trying to make a career out of it, early on before it was really a mainstream thing. It's really mainstream now, but I kind of got into it around 2013 is when I kind of started my journey. And that led to me just live streaming and doing YouTube videos, and then eventually my talent was being seen online through my live streams, and got picked up by an esports organization, played in a bunch of tournaments for multiple games: Fortnite, Apex Legends, Warzone. I still compete here and there, but I'm more of a influencer kind of content creator now. That's kind of the direction that I'm going. Um, but yeah, that's been my journey. You know, I'm from Philadelphia, born and raised in Philadelphia. I still live close to Philadelphia, and I just been gaming for a long time, and I kind of got lucky and found a way to get into the esports industry and in the gaming industry early and kind of make a career path out of it. But it's really mainstream now, and it's very doable for anybody. Like anybody can get into it, you know. So it's it's been a journey. It's been a journey.
And let me follow up to that. Has it gotten better the more mainstream it's gotten, or has it gotten more difficult?
It's definitely more difficult to get into it now.
Yeah.
Back when I was getting into it, it wasn't as esports driven. Like right now, a lot of the platforms are esports driven. Like if you're not really competing at the highest level, it's really hard to kind of, get out there and and get recognition and get known and kind of grow yourself and your brand. You need that esports presence nowadays. There's some people who can do it here and there, and they're not really competing and stuff like that. They just have like good personalities, and it's possible, but it's really hard. Even for me, getting back into it, starting 2013, 2014, it wasn't as esports heavy, but even myself, I was driven through the esports, through my competitive nature.
Hmm.
And I don't know if I would have been able to get to where I am today if it wasn't for that, because that's where my biggest growth has happened when I'm playing in a tournament, winning tournaments, playing in tournaments. That's just been my rocket. I could say that I've been using to propel myself forward.
Got it. Okay. Any tips for some of these guys who may be interested in getting into esports? How
Yeah,
would you say? What's the best way to start?
the best way to start is to honestly to start, because it's one of those things where you can start today, right? You don't have to go to college for 5-10 years and get a specific degree. You don't have to do it. You can start right now. So it starts when you get the mindset to say that this is something I want to do and I want to pursue it, and then you start it. But a lot of people have this. They're really hesitant in getting into it because they don't really know where to start and how to start. But my best advice, and I've said this to many people, and a few of them have been really successful, is to just start. And the earlier you start, the better. Yeah, it's hard now. It's really hard now. But I can tell you, 5 years from now, it might be almost impossible to get into this industry, because it was hard when I started. But I'm looking back now, and I'm like, oh, that was easy compared to what it is now. So the best thing to do is to start and get grinding and get moving forward. And it's really easy to do. Google is your best friend. I always tell people I'm a Google grad. I graduated from Google University. So any information that you need, whether it's what software you need to use, what hardware you need to use, or how to do alerts, or a lot of specifics can be pinpointed through Google and YouTube. Basically, there's like the same beast, but Google and YouTube are your best friend, and they're going to help you get all the stuff that you need. And also just be ready to invest in yourself, financially. Invest. It takes a lot of time. It's a major time investment, a major financial investment. But it's very possible and very doable. And my best advice is to just start now.
Yeah. Eventually, it'd be like trying to qualify for the NBA or
It
the
is.
NFL,
Well,
right? Yeah.
it is. It is like that to most people.
Oh,
I
it's
mean, like
already
yeah, I say
Yeah.
it all the time. I'm one of those lucky guys that I'm a very talented gamer. So when I compete at games, I'm competing at an international level. I've won tournaments that had international players in it. So I'm competing against the best of the best in the world, and I'm able to do that. But everyone's not able to compete at that level. And for those who can't, it just makes the barrier for entry just so much higher. It's it's really hard when you can't use your esports talent in this industry. But that's not to say that it's impossible or not doable, because there are some guys out there that have really, really made it far, and they haven't won nearly as many tournaments as I have, or even competed as much as I have, and they've made it further than I have. So it's very doable. You just have to really have a passion and figure out what you want to do in this industry and just go at it.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Well, Corey, let's so let's delve into your past. How did you get started in this, and take us through a little bit about your road to success?
Yeah, let me first apologize if my camera's off. Sorry about that. I think I just realized it. Um, for me, I go all the way back to really the first generation of esports and competitive gaming. So if you think back to like Sega Genesis, Madden, where they bring their Maddens into, it could be a restaurant or a private room or a bingo hall, and actually start to compete head to head in round robin tournaments. That's as far back as I go, which is about 92, 93. And really fast forward, I would say, to add on to what Richard said, just like traditional sports, you're going to need core functional skills across the board. And for me, that came from a background with sports management, marketing, as well as just product management of a hardware, actually esports hardware. In my case, it was first working with Dell, then with HP, and finally Microsoft on Xbox, and actually competing to position my brand as being really endemic and core to competitive gaming overall. That led me to so over the years, I mean, I've been in this industry 50 excuse me, I'm 50 years old. Been in the industry 25 years, and that point has been, from a brand marketing perspective, led me through really multiple waves of esports. And what that ultimately led me was to Europe, where I got to work with really some of the, I would say, where some of the most intense and structured esports takes place in the world, and that's working in the Nordics as well as in Germany, with some of the top leagues and the initial leagues that started with first Counter-Strike, then Dota 2, and League of Legends. And that led me to work a lot with Riot Games. We actually created Rig back in 2013, the first live esports headset, which, if you've ever watched League of Legends seasons 2 through 7, those are our headsets that we designed specifically for esports. And so, being an endemic brand, for me, and as a product manager, the background was a bachelor's degree in business with an MBA or a master's degree in business as well, really focusing in on product management and product marketing. And I would say to a lot of folks, there's so many needs and so many different functions. Here's my advice. The more structured you can be in some of the specialty fields, development. I mean, if you can code, if you can design graphics and design games, you will find a place in this industry. Legal, to all the lawyers out there and people that want to be that are pre-law, there is a need for esports fluent attorneys. There's even doctors. There's opportunities in terms of a physical therapy perspective. And so I would encourage a lot of people to think it's not only limited to just playing the game or being the coach on a team. There's multifunctional needs within esports across very traditional fields.
I think that's a great point, Corey. It's just like any other sport. Football has a variety of different things that spur off from. It's not just about being the player. There are many different ways to get involved within the sport or be a part of the team. And it would be the same with esports as well. I think, a lot of people don't think about physical, a physical therapist or being a coach. One of the questions that actually popped up here, which I thought was fascinating as well, is there such a thing as an esports agent? And
Absolutely.
if so, how do you become an agent? Yeah.
So the funny
Do
thing
you
is,
do it? Do either of you have agents?
Yeah, the funny thing is, every job field you just named is something
Yep.
that I use currently. I have agents, I have a physical therapist, I have a lawyer. The list goes on. I've been coached before. I've had coaches. I've had general managers. I've had personal. I have currently a personal manager. I have an assistant. There's so many different, and this is just me personally needing all these different things on my
Mhm.
team in order to be successful as a player, as an influencer. So when I was saying it's hard to get in, it's hard to get in as a player in esports, right? Because you have to be competing at the highest level. It's hard to get in as an influencer. But these other fields, they're open and they're waiting for people to come fill these slots. Because I can tell you, my lawyer isn't specifically he doesn't specifically specialize in esports, and a lot of the stuff that we come across, whether it's signing contracts, it's all new to him. So he's learning the esports business as we go. But we definitely need esports lawyers. We definitely need agents who specifically specialize in esports in the gaming industry, because it's so big. So there's so many different fields and so many different positions available even in game development and everything. It's open, and the market is ripe right now.
Yeah, I
That's
couldn't agree
fantastic.
more.
That is fantastic. That really is. So we're speaking to a lot of students here today, and I would imagine one of the top questions they would have are, I'm looking to break into this, understand about certain career fields, but are there tools or websites, resources, or places I can go to find out about the opportunities within esports? Any recommendations? Corey, we'll start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I would start with some of really the leading companies in esports, the people that make tens, hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Uh, go as soon as you can. Go to like Riot Games' website. Go to Microsoft is another big builder and company that hires a lot of people within the esports realm, specifically within Xbox. Same goes for PlayStation. ESL, one of the best places I would tell somebody, and they need people of all different levels and experience. Go check out eslgames.com and look at their career board. And it's ESL is to esports what ESPN would be the traditional sports. So anyone that wants to go into sports broadcasting to learn more about sports, a lot of people would say if you get a job at ESL, you're going to really quick, no matter what you do there. The same would go for ESL. So I've worked with them for a number of years, and they're one of those companies that everyone I know that's gone there, it's been a good experience for them, and if they want to get a leg up in the esports field.
Fantastic. Richard, any recommendations for our audience today on
Yeah,
resources?
yeah, definitely. Google is always going to be your best friend in any tech business. And then Twitter is huge. Twitter is huge. Instagram is huge. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, all these things you want to get in on all of them and start, building a presence on every single platform. Because I found my lawyer on Twitter. My
Hmm.
my agents and my the team that I'm with, we met through another player, another friend that's in the industry. So you wanna have all these different things, all these different you want to start building up with all the YouTube, the Google, the Twitter, Facebook. Start building up, because everyone's on these things, and they're constantly posting, like almost daily. You'll see, like you said, Riot Games, they'll post on Twitter, we're looking for this specific position, apply here. So they're going to be your best friend in the industry. Very specifically Twitter, though, keep a really big eye on Twitter and use Twitter as much as you possibly can, because a lot of the people that I bring onto my team, they come directly from Twitter, whether it's somebody posting, hey, if I need artwork or something like that, I'll have a friend and they'll post that they got some artwork done, and I'll be like, hey, who did that? And then right through Twitter, we'd make that, that relationship work. So Twitter is definitely your best friend.
Wow, that is a great tip. That is truly a great tip from both of you. Fantastic. Question from the audience here. What are the general requirements teams look at when recruiting?
As far as esports teams?
As far as esports teams.
A lot of the esports teams you want to be on. I'll only give you those examples because there's esports teams that'll recruit you, and you don't want to be recruited by those guys. But the major teams, like a team like Optic, FaZe, 100 Thieves, NRG, Envy, those teams are going to look specifically for your performance and how they can make money from you. They can make money from you in a few ways. If you're a big content creator, you don't have to be good at tournaments. They'll make money from your content. If you are a good player, you don't have to have a big following or create good content. They'll make money from your tournaments. So those are the main things they're looking at. They're looking at how can they capitalize off you as a player, just like with the NFL. You have some NFL teams that go out and they'll get very specific talent, but they're not the best talent in the world, but they bring something to the table. So they're looking for what you bring to the table, and most of the time they're looking for how much money it is. So yeah, if you're trying to get on the esports org, for sure, in any way, your content will help you, your skill will help you, but that it doesn't stop there. There's still the positions of coaching. You have positions in management, and you got Twitter. They have Twitter managers and Instagram managers now, and content managers. So there's a lot of different positions there. So you just have to really figure out where you fit in and what you bring to the table.
Got it. So Corey, I've got a great idea for a headset. How do I get started? How did you do it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, first you're going to have to, minimally viable experience. So much like to Richard's point, you have to put in some time to get noticed enough, either as a content creator or a player, to have 100 Thieves or one of the other esports teams find you out there, recruit you. For me, it was a matter of learning the skills, learning product management, learning marketing, learning finance, and that took place in business school. So, at the time for me, business school, got a bachelor's degree, worked as a network engineer, basically in the IT sector for a couple of years, then went back, got my master's degree in business from University of Texas, where I actually also learned a lot about sports marketing, which came in very handy for me. And then I worked on making Windows 95. I'm dating myself, but making Windows 95 be an ideal platform for video gamers first, and then which really got me into gaming hardware, was to get recruited by Hewlett Packard to actually work on internet systems, building one of the first web-based email systems back in 1997. And then that's really where I got into the hardware. I got recruited by Dell Computer, the XPS, which was the first gaming version, and then launched the Dell Inspiron, which was actually designed with a mobile GPU for gaming. And so that was arguably the first gaming laptop ever in 1998. And that really started it. But I came into Dell, I guess as a product manager with a business degree. And at first I had to convince them I could actually build competent PCs, and then as a subset of that, to build gaming PCs and gaming laptops.
A long history. So what you're basically saying, it's a long road, and it starts with education.
It's a long road that starts with education. The good news right now, because of, I guess you could call me a trailblazer, these get internships while you're still in school in some of these very same products and with these very same companies today. So HP, Dell, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Razer. HP just bought HyperX. That's a
Hmm.
Fortune 100 company that's now saying we're getting into esports in a major way by buying a brand that has really been endemic to esports overall. So I'm really excited to see what comes out of the HP acquisition of HyperX. And so, for example, I look at HP that has a tradition of hiring talented African American marketers, finance, engineers, and now here they are getting into the esports space. So HP buying HyperX is going to really, a company that's traditionally recruited a lot of talent is now getting into the esports space. And I just wonder, that should open up a lot more opportunities and a lot more demand for classically trained engineers, marketers, product managers for not only full-time jobs, but internships while you're still in school.
That's an excellent tip. That's an excellent tip. Another question here from the audience is, what are the prominent locations for esports jobs in the industry? Like, if I'm looking to get into esports, what area of the country should I live in? Corey, you want to start?
Yeah, I'm gonna start with that one. There's a few hot spots. I would say LA. Well, frankly, California. Yeah, LA for a lot of esports teams, a lot of esports leagues. That's where Riot is located. That's where Activision Blizzard is located. I look to Silicon Valley, San Francisco. That's where you have a lot of companies, both Twitch, HP, NVIDIA, Intel, just to name a few. Corsairs out there. Seattle, you've got Microsoft, you've got Valve, you've got Amazon, and then from there you have other hotspots around the country. And depending on what you do, you may never have to leave wherever you're located. There's a lot of opportunities, like to be an influencer. You can be anywhere. One of the top influencers in the world right now is Ninja. His wife was actually our community manager 8 years ago when Ninja was still playing circuits and wasn't known to most of the world. They were living in the Wisconsin area because that's where they were from. And a lot of when they really started to hit the rubber, hit the road for them and becoming influencers, they eventually moved. Know him really got his start working out of Wisconsin and Michigan, I believe, both those states.
Well, Richard, I believe, actually works with him. So, Richard, what locations work? What's the best place? I'm looking to get into esports. Where should I live?
Yeah, Ninja's a really good friend of mine. You it all depends. Like esports is everywhere right now. It's global. It's a global thing. You can live in Korea. Like Korea is an amazing place for esports.
I do, yeah.
Like they live, walk,
Yeah.
and talk esports. Like the way we talk about the NFL and NBA, they talk about esports. So it's worldwide. It's everywhere. For me as an influencer, I can do it anywhere. Like as long as I have an internet connection and a computer setup, I'm good to go. I can do it from a hotel room. It doesn't matter. But there's a lot of job opportunities, like you said, out in Los Angeles with Riot Games, Activision, and a bunch of other companies. Texas is the new hub in Austin, where they're building a lot of tech out there in Austin. Tesla just moved to Texas as well. So it's a lot of development happening in Texas. But like I said, it's worldwide, and it all depends on what you're trying to do. I would just say the idea would be just be willing to take the opportunity when it comes, because the opportunity could be in LA or it could be in your hometown. You just have to be willing to take it. And I've had opportunities all over the place, and whenever the opportunity comes up, I'm just ready to go.
It's fantastic. Fantastic tips, gentlemen. One other question here, getting a little deeper into coaching. If someone's interested in becoming a coach, what are the qualifications that they need? Do they need to be an expert esports player? Do they need to be do they need to have mastered the game, or are there other qualifications that you look for in a coach?
When it comes to coaching is a little different. From my experience, it seems like most coaches in the esports industry are former professional players. So like for instance, me, I'm currently playing Warzone. If I wanted to coach, a Warzone team, I would meet that criteria perfectly because I'm a former pro and I know the game. So I have the credentials to back it up and I also have the time in. So that's usually how it works when it comes to coaching. It's the same thing in the NFL. Like, it'll be a former, Tom Brady might be a coach one day, or, it's usually former player becoming a coach or somebody who has really good knowledge of the game. But usually the best way to prove that you have that knowledge is by being a former pro or a pro currently. So that's how I see coaching from that standpoint. I don't really see any other positions for coaching. I could be wrong in esports. Like I don't actually need a coach personally, but I have had a coach on our NRG Apex team. So it's usually team based when there's a coach, and that's usually what they work for. But I mean that's usually what they look for. I could be wrong and I could be missing some information, but yeah, that's how I see it.
And I would
Corey?
add to that,
Yeah.
if I think about traditional sports, what's going to evolve, and if I'm looking out to the future, just like to Richard's point, spot on. Former players are the main coaches today, but if you think about it, and I look at pro football, for example, and pro basketball to some extent, if you think about the best coaches out there, there's an evolution where you have the former players that make great coaches, and not all, by the way. So think about the best basketball coaches out there right now. They played on championship teams, but they weren't necessarily the championship player. Like, you know, Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson are two of the greatest players of all time, but whenever they've tried or done any stint in coaching, that's not been their forte. However, you look at a Steve Kerr, you look at a George Popovich, they were players, and they weren't the all-star on their teams. However, they had the gift of teaching and developing other players. So, it may not be the best former esports player ever. It may be someone that was on the team but wasn't the greatest player. But guess what? They know the game and they can develop you and have that passion for teaching. And that's how they became a great coach. And then it's evolved to now in NFL, for example, you have the really great coaches out there that were okay players. Like Bill Belichick was never considered an elite football player. He never got past
Mm-hmm.
college. Nick Saban was a good football player, but he didn't make the NFL. But guess what? He understood and learned the game so well. And arguably, a good coach can come from anywhere. There could be a person out there horrible at League of Legends, but they've watched enough streaming and they play enough that they get the game at a cerebral level and they can develop you and make you into a great player. So I would say for any aspiring coach out there, if you have that passion to teach, to learn, to develop. So for example, someone may be a school teacher today and an amazing school teacher, and they play league and they may never be better than a goal player, which means that just in rank, you're not streaming, you're not really known, you're just a good player, but you are a passionate teacher and developer of people. You may be a little league coach, but that combination may make you a great player. And how do you start? You find a team that's willing to listen to you and you develop that team. And if you can take talent and make that talent better after working with you, um, you could become a great coach and be known and get a reputation. Because trust me, if someone can go out and find a group of high school students and take them from being good at league to being great and being like in the college competitive format, that person will get a reputation as a good coach, is my point ultimately. So looking towards the future, if you have a passion for teaching and developing people and you know the game really well, I would say go for it. Now, mind you, you're going to have to just grind out and might not get paid in the notoriety today, but in 5 years, you may be the go-to person that pros will want to lean on to actually make themselves better.
That's fantastic. That is
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic
And
advice, Corey.
that's where
Go ahead, Richard.
that's where the idea of be ready to invest in yourself financially and
Yeah.
invest in yourself with time, because it takes time and it definitely takes finances to get you to that next level. You might not make money. Like I really honestly I didn't make money early on in my career. It was a big financial investment out of my pocket on top of the time that I was putting in.
Mm.
And you know, looking back and then looking forward and seeing where I am 7 years, or 8 years from when I started, you start to see it all come together. So you just have to be ready to put the time in and really invest in yourself. That's huge.
That's fantastic.
And let me
That's
just bring that
fantastic. Yeah, go
full
ahead.
circle
Go
really
ahead,
quick.
Corey.
People don't think about this, but just as Richard and I both said before, you have this functional excellence that's needed. So you have lawyers, engineers, artists, marketers, product managers. Investing in yourself, a lot of people don't think about this. That's when you go to college, when you go get a graduate degree, you got to look at college as party with a purpose. Sure, have some fun, but if you're going to take that route to become an engineer or a lawyer, you got to take college seriously, because let's not forget, you're dropping 50, 100, $200,000 to learn the functional skills to be able to contribute into the industry. And that is a time and money that you're investing in yourself. So even now with high school, or if you're in middle school, take as much advantage to learn as much as you can, because that expertise is going to enable you to be one of the top, potentially top engineers, top lawyers that can contribute to esports, because esports is so popular now. My point is, it's really competitive. When I came out before, it was a lot easier for me to get a job in the esports, as we already talked about, than it is now. If you
Mhm.
want to be a product manager or an engineer and you want to work in esports, so does everybody else. I mean, more people want to be in esports than, I don't know, build a plumbing system. I'm being honest. And so
Mhm.
if you are a mechanical engineer major, it's a lot easier to do plumbing systems than it would be to, say, get into a Riot Games and become a developer. And yes, I did say mechanical engineering, because you could become a developer at a Riot Games. It doesn't, you don't all have to be computer science. Just a pro tip there.
Yep.
But you do have to be excellent
Absolutely.
at what you do and an excellent thinker to be able to get into esports in, a bigger company like that.
And you both speak to the ever increasing competitive nature, right? So if you're going to pursue it, you've got to be the best. You've got to be the best in whatever field that you're going into. That's right on. Another interesting question here that's come up is, what funding opportunities are there for students, graduate, um, for people to tap in to fund their own maybe minor league esport organizations or endeavors? Anything that you two are aware of?
Personally, from what I've experienced myself, is a lot of it I had to do myself. Like
Yeah.
my whole entire operation was funded directly from me, um, from start to now. So I don't really know if there's opportunities in funding and doing things like that. What I would say is, just be ready to really invest in yourself, because it's possible to do it yourself. Everything you want to do, it is absolutely possible to do it yourself. Like he said, like Corey said, it starts with education as well. Educating yourself and getting the degrees that you need as well is going to be a huge step in your journey. And just really be ready to do it yourself. I wish I had another answer for that. Like I wish I knew something off the top of the head, but from what I've experienced, and I've been in the industry for 8 years now, and I've been gaming all my life, is that I don't think those opportunities really come where you get funded to do the things that you want to do. I think you have to kind of figure it out. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think you can find investors and people who are willing to invest in you and your brand, Because I've had people, and I have people who are invested in me and my brand. But I think it all started with the investment that I put into myself, over the years.
That's it. I will. I mean, the audience is. Go ahead, Corey. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got
No.
to jump in on that, and I agree with what Richard
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
There is, I mean, this is what everyone's parents may agree with. Richard did it, he got that Google degree he learned from the streets. I could say there is I won't call it an easier way because it's not easier. There is another way where you can get funded, and I'm gonna go call it out because BCGA. This is what we're all here. Who got us here? It is set up that you graduate with the right grades and the right test scores, you will be able to go to college, and everything is set up for you could take out loans. And if you think about the loans you take out, that's like getting an investment from a VC called the government and your parents to basically invest in yourself. You can go to college, and while you're in college, study that function, even being a player. Okay, the schools and the leagues that are setting up now around schools and HBCUs, that's where you can go. You're on student loans. That's already set up. You are there. You have room and board. Learn everything you can educationally, play esports, learn the function you want to do, and use those 4 years, because those 4 years are paid for, well, not paid for, excuse me. Those 4 years are funded. You don't have to pay back those loans, but you literally have 4 years to learn your craft, to put in, as Malcolm Gladwell said, your 10,000 hours, which is basically you're studying, you're focusing your craft on esports, you are periodically getting in the party or two to keep your social balance going, and arguably use those 4 years and have something you bring to the table that is better than anyone else out there. But don't forget, you got those grinders out there that are on Google every waking moment and working in the basement of where to be living and working 2 or 3 jobs that are out there hungry as well. And my point to you is there is a way you can basically on loan learn the skills you can. And in my opinion, that way is college, frankly. For those that say, hey, I may not be ready to hustle to learn the experience on my own, the best way you can do it, the best platform alternative to that is college. Straight up.
And
There you go.
And that is the path I took.
To touch on this, I kind of forgot. One of my problems coming up was I had to do everything myself, right? I'm currently partnered with Facebook, and I'm an exclusive content creator with Facebook, and we teamed up recently this year in 2021 to do something called the Black Gaming Creator Program, and it was a program that we put together, and it's a program that was able to pull $10 million to give to content creators, to help content creators, get into the landscape and grow and get support from a major company like Facebook Gaming. So there are things coming along. That's something that I work with Facebook Gaming, but that recently just happened, and I'm personally like, this is a kind of like a war and a battle for me, like to get more people who look like me, more people involved in this industry. Because I didn't have the help when I was coming up in the industry. So I'm trying to, create opportunities out there. And the Black Gaming Creator Program is one of them. It's kind of like over, like as far as, them taking in participants and stuff, but you can Google it and look it up, the Black Gaming Creator Program. And hopefully I'm able in a position to do more stuff like that in the future. With companies that are willing, like Facebook, to get involved. And I'm sure there's a ton of other companies that want to get involved with it, but I want to see more stuff like this happen. So I am definitely trying to put in the footwork to getting funding for people so that, you guys can have a easier chance in getting into this industry than I did. Cause it was hard. Like I invested $20,000 of my own money that I really didn't have or couldn't afford into myself and my brand before I even made any profit from it. So, and I know a lot of people can't really do that. So, there's hopefully more stuff coming in the future as far as funding opportunities, because we need it, like in general, especially with the landscape being so hard to get into. And hopefully we're able to get more stuff going for, gaming creators out there, or esports enthusiasts, or people who want to get in the industry in some way, shape, or form.
That is good to hear. Excellent work from actually both of you guys, and I think fantastic tips. Both of you are saying there is no direct, easy path, right? I don't think, I know my own path has never been easy. No one hands it to you, but you've got to get out there and work at it, invest in yourself, invest in your education, in order to make it happen. So fantastic. Looking towards the future, and I think we're just a couple questions here before we wrap it up, but look towards the future. What do you think the industry looks like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, Corey?
Oh, I would say much more sophisticated. I think sophisticated would be the word I would use. You're going to have more mainstream acceptance. You're going to have more, frankly, more opportunities, more competition. I do believe, like I had mentioned before, taking advantage of learning the functional skill sets, getting your education, or if you're going to dive deep, dive fast, dive hard, it's going to be a lot more applicable to traditional sports and entertainment. It's going to just be, that's why I see esports in 5 to 10 years, more mainstream, more part of our everyday life, and much larger than it is today.
Richard, what do you think? What do you think it evolves into 5 years, 10 years from now?
I think it takes over entertainment. I mean, it's already done it. It's just going to continue to just swallow entertainment as a whole. You look at games like Fortnite, that they just broke down so many barriers. I mean, you have so many different collaborations with Disney, with Warner Brothers, with music artists like Travis Scott. It's like they've done so much stuff in just that one particular game, and every year it's just growing and getting bigger. Brands like Nike coming aboard. Louis Vuitton actually did a collaboration with Riot Games for a League of Legends tournament, where they had the trophy. There was like a lot of they had like luggage bags and coats and stuff that were esports, that were collaborated with the esports community and Riot Games for tournaments and stuff. And this is Louis Vuitton, one of the biggest designer companies in the world. So you have all these companies. McDonald's is in on it, and it's just going to continue to grow and take over the entertainment industry, and it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. So 5 years from now, I mean, who knows?
That's amazing and exciting. It really is. It's rare that you have an industry with such explosive growth like we're seeing with esports that comes along. You are both legends and icons within this industry. How do people follow you? How should this audience keep up with all the great things that you guys are working on, doing? How should they follow you? Corey?
Yeah, for me, absolutely. I am on, let's see, Twitter. I'm CRose, CROSE. On Facebook, Corey Rosemond. I have a page where I pull a lot of ideas out. It's separate from my personal page, so it's like my official page, I guess. And then on LinkedIn, it's another active platform for me. And so I would say it's just Corey Rosemond. I think there's me and there's another guy in the Department of Defense. Fused between the two of us. But yeah, I'm the gamer. And I would say, reach out. If I don't get back to you immediately, I apologize. Got a lot of things going on, but I would definitely like to hear from anyone with questions and to follow up, and I'll do that as best I can and make as many connections as I can.
It's fantastic. Richard?
Yeah, Instagram, King Richard 215. Facebook is the same thing, King Richard 215. My Twitter is at King Richard. Yeah, those are the best ways to keep up with what I'm doing. I post pretty frequently on all three. My live streams are on Facebook Gaming, weekly, daily live streams on Facebook Gaming. But yeah, that's the best way to keep up with me.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, I can't thank you enough. The responses from the audience has been overwhelming. Anyone who didn't get their question answered, ask your questions. I think they're going to collect them all and get them back over to Richard and Corey, get some follow-up questions. Hopefully you all have enjoyed the question and answer period and the time that we've spent here today. Gentlemen, thank you so much for what you do on a daily basis, how you represent within the gaming industry, and being the pioneers that you are, because you are both blazing trails within this industry that is, quite frankly, underrepresented for African Americans overall. So thank you. Thank you for the work that you guys have done.
As well, and I was
Thank you for having us.
No, thanks, guys.
Same here.
All right.
It was an hour. Thank you, Eric.
No problem at all. A pleasure at any time. Corey, Richard, I extend myself to you guys as well at any time. Feel free to reach out to me if there's anything that I can do personally or on behalf of GameStop. More than willing to help.
Same.
Same
All
here.
right.
Thank you very much, Eric.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.